Hello all, Sam Dickinson from the Model Train People. You're probably wondering right now where Eddie is. Well, as you're going to hear in the episode, Eddie has had to step down both as head of the community and also as host of the podcast. And he has graciously passed that on to me. So, yeah, you're gonna see things a little different here as we kind of get into the groove of things. There's gonna be some relearning about recording and video editing on my side. Also, we're trying to find ways to fund ourselves, and so we can get rid of things like this watermark right up here, which I'm currently using for my recording. So yeah, if you have anything that you would like to hear or have discussed on the podcast, I would love to get your feedback. Comment in the videos or send us an email, modeltrainpeople@gmail.com. A little bit of housekeeping. We are getting ready to host a really big event about a month from now, the weekend of October 11th. This is going to be a 3-day weekend that we have called the Allegheny Steam Gala. Now, I need to stress this up ahead of time. None of the organizations or museums that we are going to be associating with are aware of what we are doing. There is no chartering of events or anything, and if you call them asking, hey, I'd like to get more information on the Model Train People's Allegheny Steam Gala, they're going to say, who are the Model Train People and what is the Allegheny Steam Gala? So don't bother them asking them questions or anything about this. This is exclusively a homebrewed event that's just supposed to be a get-together of friends. On Friday, October 10th, we are going to be in Rock Hill, Pennsylvania at the East Broad Top Railroad and Rock Hill Trolley Museum. On Saturday, the 11th, we are going to be in Cumberland, Maryland at the Western Maryland Scenic Railway. And on Sunday, the 12th, we are going to cap off the weekend with a chase of Norfolk and Western 611 between Goshen and Staunton, Virginia. We're also trying to work out a couple of rail fanning evenings, possibly one in Mount Union, Pennsylvania, up on the Norfolk and Western's former Pennsylvania line on Friday, and then a combined rail fanning evening / cookout, picnic, maybe camp out at a campground somewhere in the Cumberland area along CSX's Sand Patch line. I'm still trying to get that worked out, but all in all, I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's going to be an absolutely fun weekend, and you don't even need to be there for all 3 evenings. If you just want to show up for one because one day is closer to you than another, or if you have other conflicting events, that's not a problem. We are not going to be upset if you can't make all 3 days. So, yeah, mark your calendars for that, and we will be looking forward to seeing you there. Anyway, I will stop talking now, and we will get straight into the podcast. So, yeah, welcome to Season 2. That's weird.
We're podcasting.
That's weird being the one to press the button.
Being the button presser.
Yeah. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Model Train People podcast.
Welcome back.
What?
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. And you're probably noticing a couple things are different. and we're probably going to have an announcement that you've just heard before this, but still, if you happen to be one of those people that fast forward those, like skipping the cut scenes on a video game, basically, Eddie has had to make the decision to step down as host of the podcast and also as head of the Model Train People community. And thanks to situations called life.
Yeah,
and
he's got up a short on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't already seen that and you want to know just a little more about what's going on in his life, you can go to our YouTube channel and check out the short there. But basically, just life happened.
Yes.
He got real busy, and unfortunately, that means he doesn't have time to really devote to making sure this community is as good as he wants it to be. So he's handed off the reins to Sam and myself and some of the other moderators, and he's spending time with his family, which is as it should be.
Yes, we all understand what it's like to have family issues or life issues, work issues. Me, myself, I had an absolutely horrible summer with work, and it's literally the past 2 months of work. It's only gotten just a little bit easier lately. Ironically, the phrase, like, it's always darkest before the dawn. For me, it literally was that, because the week before things finally started to settle down, I was literally thrown on the midnight shift, running trucks from Evansville to Nashville and back. And then immediately after that, things just kind of started getting better. But yeah, he's handed the reins off to me, and that includes all of the recording and the editing and the posting. So we weren't able to use Zoom because I was limited to 40 minutes, and these are usually supposed to be about an hour, so we are actually recording off of Discord.
So bear with us as we kind of refigure out how to get this podcast to podcast.
That's why you also see this watermark right here. That's the as you can probably tell if you go back to our other YouTube videos and look at the quality of my camera in the past compared to now, you can notice a major difference. But that's because I am using my cell phone with a wired connection to my computer. So, yeah. It's, interesting to say the least. I mean, I look a lot nicer now. But,
I think that's worth the word, Mark.
Oh, yeah. it definitely is. But, yeah, there's gonna be, as I'm learning this, because I have had some experience with doing my own recordings and podcastings before, but it's been a while. This is a bit of a relearner for me, and I'm just trying to adjust everything. So, if anybody wants to sponsor us and give us money so that we can get proper equipment and we don't have to deal with watermarks or mismatched audio or anything, feel free to. Just contact us, I believe it's modeltrainpeople@gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Contact us there and let us know. Who knows, maybe we'll start a Patreon or something. I mean,
only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, Dennis, how was your summer?
My summer was good. It was kind of busy. I didn't get to do quite as much modeling as I was hoping I would be able to, but I still got some good modeling done. A lot of time actually spent focusing on developing rolling stock for the BNCCS, which, if people are just joining us now, is my freelance railroad. Balfour and Calucci Creek Southern basically took over, became the mandated operator of the New Haven Railroad in 1954 through an ICC decision. And now I model the mid 70s to mid 80s through New England. So I've been putting together a bunch of rolling stock for my railroad. Most of it for my era, including some per diem 50-foot boxcars, and some other stuff. I've got some Jeeps now painted up. And I even dabbled a little bit in HO and a little bit in a more modern era, and sending a scrap gondola up to Mr. Paul Stamp, who was on the podcast back in season 1. So been a lot of fun developing that. I unfortunately didn't, like I said, didn't get to do quite as much modeling time as I wanted to. So my Hopewell Depot, which I said at the end of last season, I was hoping to get done by now. Not quite there yet, but this is giving me a big push for it, because I've got 3 weeks now before the Northeast Region Convention of the NMRA, and I'm hoping to bring it with me there so it can get judged towards the achievement program towards Master Model Railroader. So we'll see. I think I can do it. I think I do. I just got to really lock in and get it done.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, I've been watching some of the stuff that you've been making, and it's absolutely phenomenal. I know I've got a couple of boxcars that I need to send off to you that'll become
yep.
part of the later 1980s per diem boxcar era, just to kind of fit with some of the stuff that I am, and just add that extra level of connection between model railroads.
Absolutely.
So
That's so much of the fun of freelancing, is being able to link up with everyone else's, whether it's a fictional railroad or just a what if scenario like what you're doing. The ability to intermingle stories, and we support each other's stories with our own. It's great.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I had gotten a Virginia and Ohio diesel, but I ended up selling that because it didn't really match what I wanted. I was hoping I could find something else, but that has not been the case. So,
not yet, anyway.
Not yet. I know they exist. People are just hoarding them, and I need someone to post it to eBay at a reasonable price.
Well, that's the hard part.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, did you get any new models? I know you painted a bunch, but did you get anything new or interesting?
Did I get anything new or interesting over the summer? I'm sitting here thinking through, what did I do this summer? What did I get? I don't think I really got... Oh, I did get something cool and interesting this summer, which was a sample of the N Possible couplers.
Ooh.
My friend Don Head was at the N-Scale Enthusiasts N-Scale Convention out in Kansas City, and he decided he wasn't going to go through... He wasn't even going to think about going through his couple thousand car fleet and transferring all of the things he's already converted to microtrains,
right,
back, converting them over to. And so he sent me one of the sample packs that he picked up. So I've got some of those.
Nice.
Those are pretty cool. I want to get some more, that way I can give them a real test, because that only came with four couplers sets.
Okay.
4 pairs of couplers. So 2 pairs of couplers, 4 couplers total. That's what it is. It was two couplers intended for body mounting and 2 couplers intended for toggle style truck mounting.
Okay.
So I've got 4 cars, because I did one end of 4 different cars. That way I could kind of get, coupling together. But from what I've seen of them, they're really cool. They're a little harder to get coupled and to uncouple than microtrains, but they look a lot better.
Have you been able to test them with like a magnet uncoupler?
They do not have a magnet wand.
Okay.
That's something that's been totally issued from the whole shoot and match.
Okay.
That's not part of the design of them.
Okay. Yeah, because I know I've been trying to figure out how to get a bunch of, like, that whole stack right there is all Rapido couplers. This is a Bachmann car that recently I bought a pack of Bachmann knuckle coupler trucks to install on. So, yeah, I've been trying very slowly to get stuff converted. I got a pack of like off-brand knuckles, and those ones, they work okay, but the way the trucks mount is a little different and not as smooth as compared to other brands. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm not sure I'm going to be using too many more of them, but we will see. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but
So what
yeah.
else? When did I get this? Oh, I think I've gotten this since the last time we recorded. I think this arrived. I can't remember, but I think so.
Ooh, the
This
Alta
is
car.
this is
Nice.
a car for Miles Callan's Alta California Railroad, the
Nice.
Mexico '68 scheme. I sent him a boxcar. He painted it and weathered it for me. I paid him back. So he sent the car to me. The only thing I did on this car was I put the whoa, totally washed out. There it is. I put the ACI label there right under the T. I added that on just so
Nice.
it's updated to post ACI era.
Mm-hmm.
But that he did all the weathering and all the painting and all the, everything on there, and I did I paid him back for it, and I sent him a boxcar of my a boxcar plus some decals because he said he wanted to do it himself. So
Nice.
sent him all that stuff out for the BNCCS. So hopefully that'll be showing up on the Alta California at some point here, which would be pretty fun.
Nice. If
But
I ever decided on actually modeling my Mississippi Pacific concept, which I don't think I've ever talked about before,
not on the pod, yeah.
not even on the episode where we were talking about fictional railroads. Mississippi Pacific was kind of the second big alternate history concept that I had made. And it basically started off in a fictional group that I was in called the Railroaders Guild, and there was a gentleman on there named Simon Brown who kind of founded the group, and he had a railroad called the American Central, which took up. It was basically like picture if CSX bought the Missouri Pacific,
Okay.
but they didn't purchase the Seaboard Coastline, and they didn't purchase any of the Missouri Pacific in Texas.
Interesting.
So the Texas and Pacific, the International Great Northern, and the Gulf Coast lines, and the Muskogee lines. But it did have the Texas and Pacific's route from Texarkana south to New Orleans.
So the bit of the TMP outside of Texas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And basically, the story that he had was that the Missouri Pacific had gone bankrupt in the late 60s to very early 70s. And so I had been working on a couple other railroads. I had originally started with the Louisiana Eastern, Paulson Spence's Railroad, running around New Orleans from Baton Rouge to Bay St. Louis. And then I acquired a couple other lines. I started with the Gulf, Mobile, and Northern, and a couple other things. When the group reset, I decided to keep doing some modifications, allow myself to really hone in what exactly I was modeling in that. And I came up with the concept of, well, what if the laws in Texas, because Texas had this weird law of any railroad that was operated in the state had to be headquartered in the state, but it could be owned by railroads outside of the state.
It
So,
just
like,
had to have a
yeah,
corporate identity that was headquartered in Texas.
exactly. So I was basically thinking, well, what if there were I had never exactly defined what it was, but there was a slight change in the Texas laws about railroads in the state. And when the Missouri Pacific first went bankrupt in 1933, basically the Texas law said that you could, if a railroad bankrupt outside of the state and it owned railroads in the state, it could only own one company.
Mm,
Now, through a loophole, it did not say if that one railroad
could
could
not.
own others. So the International Great Northern and the Gulf Coast lines got transferred to the Texas and Pacific, making the Texas and Pacific much larger, making it a true Texas road. So the bankruptcy went on through the 50s, and the railroad managed to get out in 56, but then it ended up going bankrupt again in the late 60s. And through the laws and everything and differences in the economy, railroad economy, then they decided, well, we're going to say that you need to sell off ownership of the Texas and Pacific. Now, through some reasons, the ICC at the time basically said, yeah, that's fine, but we believe that the Missouri Pacific should keep ownership of the Texarkana New Orleans route of the Texas and Pacific. Maybe even a line going into Dallas. One of the two. So the railroad kept their the Missouri Pacific took over ownership of the Texarkana New Orleans route and allowed the Texas and Pacific ownership or trackage rights over that line. But the new owners of the Texas and Pacific weren't exactly happy with that. And so they started looking for an alternative. And that happened to naturally come with the Kansas City Southern, because the Kansas City Southern had a parallel main line from Texarkana to New Orleans, and then that not only went up to Kansas City, but it also offered an additional connection with the Muskogee lines in the Joplin area. So it was just kind of this natural two things fit together. And so the merger happened October 9th, 1972. So I've been working on, and then basically through there, the railroad ended up taking over the Rock Island's Memphis line. I'm still debating on a new additional change where also in the merger of 1972, they take over the Gulf, Mobile, and Ohio instead of the Illinois Central. And basically says that the Illinois Central just went bankrupt as well around that time, and so the GM&O was like, no, we're not going to merge with you or something. Or something similar to like when the Milwaukee Road and the C&W were trying to merge, and then they were like, oh, you need to rearrange something, and one of the railroads just bowed out. Something like that, and we're like, hey, we're about to merge, we'd love to have you, and create a bigger system that way. And then in the late 90s, they ended up taking what Kansas City Southern eventually did and take over TFM in Mexico. Mm-hmm. So with all of that and the fact that we go all the way out to El Paso, Texas and have connections with the Mexican railroads and something, I have a feeling that if I ever modeled the Mississippi Pacific, it would really fit well with the Alta California connection. Mm-hmm. And also, it connects very well with the Utah Belt system because the Utah Belt runs from Salt Lake City to El Paso. So, yeah. So there's that.
Utah Belt was a big inspiration for me when I was getting into the hobby, or getting into the freelancing side of the hobby anyway.
Yeah,
that was the big freelance in the magazines when I was getting into it. So
I actually learned something sad when because I went to one among the. I didn't get to go to Novi, but I ended up going to the St. Louis RPM, and while I was there, I didn't have the money for them because they were overpriced. But they are not overpriced. They were priced over my limit.
Yeah.
But that's the more proper term to use for when referring to the Utah Belt. But there were some Utah Belt cars and a locomotive for sale there. And I asked about it, and he basically said that he's retiring and moving into a retirement home, and that the Utah Belt is going to be dismantled and not going to be rebuilt again.
Coming to a close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's gonna be a.
Every story's got an end.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when the Virginia and Ohio closed out, but the Virginia and Ohio has lived on in many other places. Like, I'm realizing that one of his grandsons was, sorry, my roommate's trying to be sneaky, sneak back here. I need to get a green screen. He literally tried to sneak, but I caught it. But oh well. Um, but like I know that Alan's grandson made his own 4x8 set in the 50s. And then there were a bunch of other Virginia and Ohio concepts made. I think there was even an around the room layout design that was made at one point, but yeah, the Virginia and Ohio has always been a strong influencer for me. Um, so yeah, but that was sad, but yeah, so
Yeah.
like I mentioned, my summer went a lot less than I expected, basically, between work and a car issue that ironically kind of solved itself. Um, I was not able to go to Novi as much as I wanted to, but it ended up working out anyway because other things happened that week that I'm like, okay, maybe it was Providence that I didn't go.
Maybe it's
Maybe.
supposed to be that way.
Maybe. But yeah. Instead, I ended up going to the St. Louis RPM. I got out there for Thursday night for the dinner and going to see the layouts. Oh my gosh. That SN3 layout was.
Oh, SN3 is so
Oh, I
cool.
loved that one.
SN3 is so
That
cool.
what was really cool was for his track cleaner locomotive, he took a what looked like a Kato RS1 and re-gauged it to SN3. Just uses it as a track cleaning locomotive.
That's all. That's awesome.
But it's like, I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe it's something.
If
I
it
don't know.
works, it works.
Exactly, but the locomotives were so clean and nice. The detail on that layout. I wish I could remember the gentleman's name, whose it was. I got a brochure of it somewhere, but I have no idea where it is. But it was a logging railroad and had connections with the Rio Grande, but it had so much detail. Like, you know those mushrooms that kind of stick like fins out of stumps and
Mhm.
everything? He had those modeled in the stumps.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's like, I can barely even get a tree to look more than a puffball, and here he is. He's got redwoods all the way up past my head, and he's modeling mushrooms inside of stumps. And I'm like, this is a beautiful layout. There were a couple other layouts there that were really nice as well. But we did the Thursday night layout tour. We were at the show all day Friday. I got to go. I didn't go to the Friday night feature, but I heard it was really good. But I got to listen to Tony Coaster give a lecture, which I absolutely
Nice.
loved. That layout that he's working on, that O scale layout for the Wabash Railroad's Mogul branch. That was, oh my gosh, I loved that. Went to a couple others. Somebody gave a slideshow of Chicago in the mid 1980s, which I loved as well.
Awesome.
I always love slideshows. Then I ended up walking away with a couple of things. I only walked away with one model, and that was, I know, shock, and that I don't have it here, but it was a Intermountain kit car for
Hmm.
a Alberta hopper one of those Alberta
Nice.
cylindrical hoppers. It does not have the truck, so I actually have to finally go out and buy some Microtrains trucks. But yeah. And then the following weekend, I had to make an impromptu trip up to Michigan because my brother got baptized.
Hey.
And so I went up there for that, did some rail fanning, got to finally swim in the lakes for the first time since before COVID.
Nice.
And while I was up there, I learned about another hobby shop that nobody told me of. I'd known a whole bunch of people up in Michigan. I was in the clubs and everything. And nobody told me about Rider Hobbies in Flint, Michigan. Right there on the northwest corner of I-69 and I-75. Nobody told me about this place until we're driving out to Flint, and my buddy Will goes, "Hey, you know there's a hobby shop in Flint?" And I almost stopped the car in the middle of the highway, turned to him and go, "What?" Like, I had no idea this place existed. I go in there. He had 4 layouts. He had an O scale or a G scale layout, and Lionel O scale, a 4x8 HO, and a 80x30 N scale layout. And he had a whole bunch of stuff. He had models and everything. And I'm just like, how? And I'm like, how long has this place been here? They're like, oh, about 40-ish years. I'm like,
my gosh.
And no one's told me about it? I thought Great Lakes Hobby and the Whistle Stop were the only 2 places that I could go for shopping for model trains or buy online. And there was another one an hour away from me, and I had no idea about it until 7 years after I move away. It's like, geez, thanks for the help, guys.
You know what? You know about it now, and you can go
but now
visit
I'm not
it now.
going to be going up there as often.
That's true.
But I did walk away with one model. I bought an Athearn 2-bay Detroit, Toledo, and Ironton hopper car. A covered hopper to go with the fleet of 2-bay hoppers that I've been working on. I've been kind of working on a small fleet of 2-foot or 2-bay hoppers. So, yeah, it was like, you know what, I gotta walk away with at least something from here. And it was right in the price range, so I'm like, I'll get it. So, yeah. But, yeah, I didn't do nearly as much as I wanted to over the summer, which was a disappointment, but it happens. Life happens. Work was, like I mentioned already, work was absolutely insane, so things all worked out. And then I'm ending the summer becoming the head of the model train people.
And there we are.
Yeah. But I am starting a new project. I know I've talked about this with you, but for the other people that don't know, I have been trying to build my own model railroad. I started off the beginning of the year modeling a 2x4 layout. I had built the table and everything. You guys probably saw it on our train-a-thon from the beginning of the year. Well, I came to the realization that I did not do enough proper track planning or thinking outside of the box with it. I'm having issues with some of the switches for a couple of pieces of equipment that I really want to run on it. And it's just not, even though I've only gotten as far as basic wiring and gluing the track down, it's not making me as happy as I would have. And so at first I was just like, well, I'll work on it when I'm feeling like it. But during that 1 week where I was running basically midnight shifts, I went down to our basement guest room. Don't get ahead of me, that's not what it is. It's not some sort of weird lair. That's just how the house ended up
It's just
being.
where it is and what it is.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. But the room, again, don't read too much into it. The room doesn't have any windows. So it... So it's a very dark room, which is perfect for me because light wakes me up. It doesn't matter. Like, I could fall asleep at 2 a.m., or like I could fall asleep at 4 a.m. in the morning, and it's still darker out. And my body kind of rolls over and wakes up at 7 a.m. The sun's up already by that time, shining through my window. And my body just goes, hey, the sun's up, it's time to get up. And my brain's going, we've only had 3 hours of sleep. And my body goes, we don't care. The sun's up, we gotta be up.
Too bad.
So, yeah. But, so that being in that bedroom helped a lot. But there's also another thing. Because I've been wanting to do other things. Like, I always loved shelf layouts because they're very convenient. Because you're not having all the legs on the floor. You can put stuff under it. You can work on it a little easier and everything. Well, in my bedroom, my current bedroom, I can't exactly do that. Because the house is built in 1916. And these are lath and plaster walls with drywall put on top of it. It is so thick that you cannot find the studs. We had a buddy of ours, he had a really good stud finder, and he's putting it on the walls. He's like, I can't find where these studs are. So I don't want to make something that could potentially fall because I didn't mount it right. But in this downstairs basement, the basement is a room in this room is 12 by 12, but it's got 1/4 of it reserved for both the hot water closet and the bedroom closet. So it's like an L shape. But it's got the main section of it is 12 foot deep by 80 inches wide. And these walls have studs in them because they're more of the fake walls, and it's got very thin pressed wood paneling and everything. And also, my dad got a knee replacement surgery over the summer. And he's usually staying down there when he comes to work on the house. And I'm like, I don't want to be subjecting my dad to having to walk up and down these steep basement steps to get to when he wants to lay down. So I'm going to take it upon myself. I'm going to fumigate the basement bedroom because there are spiders down there. And I'm going to finish it up a little bit because there's still a few extra things that need to be done. I'm going to move down in there, and I'm going to make a T-track shelf layout in that room. I'm going to start just with the 12 foot by 80 inch section. I'm going to have 2 lift out sections, one in front of the bedroom door, and then one going across the L from the wall to the corner with the closet. I'm going to start with that so that it'll be exclusively an oval 12 foot by 80 inch, which is not really bad at all. I've already figured on the one section I can do a quad, a normal corner, and then 2 triples and a double. And then in the other corner, I can do a quad by a double. And if I'm modeling it correctly, I could potentially make it a 3-town operation. So, like, I'll have a train that starts it. So, like, on the 8 section, I can use those 2 triples. I can have, like, a double where the tracks come forward from the back wall. And I can have one section of, like, either a big industry or a town or something right there. It'll go around, go over a crossover. Then it'll come to the quad area, which could be which will be in front. It'll have like a town or something there, and then it'll come around to the corner which is the quad by double corner, and it'll be along the wall, and I'll have a 3rd town right there. I've actually been kind of working on some plans that in that quad by double corner, I could actually model the Lapeer Industrial Railway. and the Lapeer Amtrak station in Lapeer, Michigan, which is on the Grand
Cool.
Trunk Western. So, which, for those that don't know, I model the Grand Trunk Western, which in an alternate universe successfully merged with the Milwaukee Road. I realized I didn't mention that sooner, um, but yeah. So
So,
if I'm modeling the Grand Trunk Western there, I can model this little Lapeer Industrial branch and fit at least 3 industries on it in that quad by double corner, and it'll work out pretty much perfectly. I could
nice.
I could fit in the 17-inch corners. The only problem with it is that it will bring it up perfectly, almost perfectly, with the edges of the trim for the corners.
Hmm.
And I'm still going to need to have space for those lift out sections to rest on.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to be able to use the 17-inch corners as much as I would like to, because it'll give me just that broader curve and allow me for slightly better. But then again, when you've got all inside corners where you're not having the curves go away from you and they're kind of going with you, it looks a little more realistic, especially when it's closer to eye
Mhm.
level.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I get that room finished and move down there, and hopefully I can keep it clean. um,
That's the trick.
yes, that is the trick. Um, I will start working on making a N scale shelf layout in a basement bedroom.
Sounds to me like we're gonna have to do an episode this season of you and I both ripping up layouts because my layout I've reached a point with my layout where I'm just so fed up with the track work. So I am not actually deleting my layout. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and do surgery on it, or at least try. We'll see how this works out.
Plastic
But
surgery.
my goal is going to be basically to just take out the section of foam that the track is on all the way along through the whole where all the tracks go,
Okay.
and replace all that with a much more sturdy sub road bed that I can put my cork and then my track on. That way I can make sure all
Okay.
my track is dead level, which will hopefully mean that it doesn't suck to operate anymore.
Of
Because
course.
this layout, as a couple people in the community have run this layout now. Eddie ran it. Billy Brown of the Rail Brothers has run it. A few people run it. It's a lot of fun to run when the train runs.
Right.
It's set up in such a way where it's a little tight, but it's a fairly realistic switching puzzle that it takes some time to wrap your head around. It takes some time to complete. But with the track as it is, it's just so unreliable that it's just
It
not
zaps the
fun.
fun out of it.
Um, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that once I relay all the track with a nice sub road bed that'll keep it nice and flat and level, I can basically rebuild the plan exactly as it is with maybe a couple of tweaks. For example, I want to basically have provisions to add on an additional 2 foot section if I want to one end.
Nice.
So I might push one of the industries further out onto that end. I may or may not. I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
But if I do have that addition, I'll take the end that's still on the layout and convert it to be compatible with Fremo, and then have the extension also be compatible with Fremo. That way, in theory, if the layout runs well, I could bring it to a Fremo end meet, and have it be part of the layout because I think that would be really fun.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
that's
I mean, in the
that
meantime,
sounds like
yeah.
we'll have to have an episode about
Yeah. I mean,
it.
an episode talking exclusively about tearing down layouts and rebuilding layouts. And
Hmm.
actually, having my buddy Will on there, he'd be perfect because he's done it so much. He kind of rearranged his layout again, and he literally told me, I cannot tear this down because if I tear it down, I'm not building back up because
Hmm.
I don't have to want to deal with it. But at the same time, it's like something I've been realizing is the process of tearing down and rebuilding a layout and just building a layout in general unless it's like a sectional layout like T-Track or N-Track or Fremo or something like that, unless it's like sectional where you can literally mate it with other people's and not have any problems or nearly any problems, the bench work and the base scenery and sometimes even the track is literally going to be a lost money. That's where you truly lose money on this hobby. When you're building, when you're working with the models, obviously you can always sell models. People will buy models and everything. You might be able to salvage the track depending on what type it is. If it's hand laid, again, that's something you're going to be losing on. But yeah, it's something that I'm slowly realizing is, yeah, you can do whatever you
there's
can.
There's a certain amount of track and scenery and stuff that's a sunk cost. You're not going to get that back.
Exactly. And that's something I'm starting to realize. I mean, with that 2x4, if I could manage to do something with it, I could probably turn it into a slightly narrower but still workable glorified end cap for a T-Track layout, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think
it may not be worth the effort.
I don't think it will be worth the effort.
So yeah.
I do have to see if some of my narrow sections are, especially my single long section that I had built for it, is actually going to work for a lift out bridge piece. If it's going to be long enough or not, I don't think it is, but if it is, hallelujah. A miracle has been done in the hobby. But yeah, so we just got to kind of work on ours and see where we can go.
See where we get.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the modifications that you do. I've got to, now that I'm doing the recording of the podcast and I've gotten this program that can record off my phone and everything, it'll allow me to put a bench work project right here. So like if I have to, when I want to finally repaint a couple of my models or redecal them, I can record it here, because that was something I was always trying to figure out. And then also with doing the layout downstairs, I really want to record doing that process, modeling different T-Track modules, all the sections for it, making sure that they work, and possibly going through Klondikes for those. I'm debating between going through Klondikes and making them myself, because when I make them myself, they don't always come out the best. But then again, that's because I'm new. But then again, I've made a pretty good one already, so I just have yet to try it out. So we'll I think this is the fall and winter of learning experiences. True learning experiences. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully my work can stay calm enough and I can get home and my ADHD laziness won't kick in and I just laze around and do nothing. And the idea of working in the hobby will actually encourage me enough to actually do all this stuff. Because I said all of this back when I started working on my 2x4, and look what happened now.
Well, here we are.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not holding out, but I have higher hopes for this, because even though it's going to be a double track and everything, I know that I can look past most of that if I do it just right, and be able to still have something that I can enjoy and be happy with regardless of how it looks. And to me, obviously the argument of if you're not happy, do something else, this can actually make me happy. And not only can it be a quote-unquote permanent layout, I can also take those sections anywhere there's a T-Track group and be able to share with other people on that. Like that quad by double corner for the Lapeer Industrial. That I could literally take that somewhere and I'll be able to run it with anybody else's layout. And I won't have a problem. And I'll be able to do operations on a
Mhm.
public T-track layout.
Mhm.
So
That's it. That's really neat.
yeah, so one thing I've been considering for the two triples is possibly, instead of a town section, have that as an automobile plant. Because I've got auto
Ooh.
racks, I've got 86-foot box cars.
Yep.
I'm still trying to find auto frame flats,
Ooh.
but if I could, I want to model an automobile plant because I model the Grand Trunk. Grand Trunk's in Detroit. What's Detroit known for? Automobiles. That's the
Cars.
biggest thing. So I want to model. That's something that I really, really, really want to model. So if I can do that in that two triple section, that should be, it should make me happy. And I can always swap it out for something else. If I want to do a slightly different industry operation or something, I can do that.
Yep.
So if I
That's
want,
the other great thing about T-Track.
yeah, you can always swap it out. I mean, look at Jimmy on DIY and Digital. He literally
Oh
just
yeah.
swapped two industry modules around because he's like, having the runaround section makes it work a little easier for me than having it over in this section here. So yeah, T-Track is probably going to be, especially for some of these younger generations that are stuck in their apartments and can't move. Obviously, if you're stuck in one of those New York City high-rise apartments, I feel sorry for you. You should move. But yeah, it'll having these T-track layouts and shelf layouts or folding tables or whatever really does allow for that flexibility of enjoying the hobby. So
It allows you to scratch the itch in the space you've got.
exactly. So we will see what happens. I'm sure I'll probably be posting videos of this project as I'm going and doing other things.
And say
So
now that you've said it for the public, now you got to do
now, yeah, especially
it.
considering I'm the host of the podcast and the community now, I'm going to be held to standards. Yeah, so, but yeah, we will see what happens. So, yeah, any other projects that you've got planned coming up?
Well, there's one project, but it's still kind of a little bit of a secret. So it does have to do with T-Track, and I'll leave it
Okay.
at that for now.
All right.
I think by the time we record our next episode, it should be public. So
Okay.
we'll talk about it more a little bit then, maybe. But
All right. So,
um,
and that
it
yeah,
involves a lot of creators in the space, so it'll be a lot of
creators.
fun. Yes, content creators
Oh, so kind of like a collaboration type thing.
of sorts, of sorts.
Hmm. I'm intrigued. I always love the collaboration stuff. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, we will be looking forward to that. And yeah, I think we're already coming up to about 50 minutes. So a
Yep.
little bit shorter than our usuals, but again, we're trying to get everything figured out and everything. So
Getting back up on our feet.
yep. So just for housekeeping and reminders, Dennis, where can we find you?
Yep. I'm at youtube.com/at nscaletrainboy, all one word. That's my YouTube channel. You can find me there Monday nights live, 9 p.m. Eastern, and videos posted whenever I have time.
Yep. And you can find us on Facebook, on YouTube, under Model Train People. You can find us on Instagram. I believe we post these to Spotify and Audible. We're still trying to figure out Apple Podcasts right now because there's confusion there because of the transfers and everything. So, well, as we figure things out, obviously you'll find out. But we'll be posting about, if it's not already been done, we'll be posting about these changes and everything on our socials and everything. Don't forget our Linktree has everything, and then of course our Discord server, Model Train
Of
People.
course.
We're always welcoming new members, and we'd be happy to have you in our happy little worldwide club. So, thank you all for tuning in with us as we take the next chapter in season 2 of the podcast. And we will see you all in the next one.
See you, folks.